And welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Knowledge. Now, on the journey, which is life, along that journey, we learn a lot of lessons. We hear a lot of good advice from a lot of people. And some of that advice you hear at times is you never want to meet your heroes. The person on the other side of this screen is an exception to that rule. Sometimes it is okay to meet your heroes. Sometimes those people do, in fact, live up to their expectations. And the man on the screen is one of my heroes, Mr. Basic Trainer himself. One of now Basic. I have to tell you, you are one of the most reoccurring guests on this channel, dating back to the very, very, very early days of me going live. But with that said, man, how you doing? How's everything been? Glad to
What's
see
going
you.
on, PK? I'm definitely not counting, but I believe this is the 34th time you've had me on. So that's it's pretty awesome. No, man, things are good, man. Things are awesome. Enjoying the hobby in my own little, lane that I've been enjoying the hobby lately, and it's been awesome for sure.
Yeah,
How are things with you, man?
dude, everything's going good. Wife's good, kids good, baby's good. Life's just
Awesome.
moving along. And I think that's important. Sometimes you just gotta stay focused. But I know you've been staying focused, not just in Pokemon now. You've been, doing a lot of MetaZoo. I saw your Instagram post today. I know you finally cracked top 32 for MetaZoo, huh, man?
Finally, I mean, there's only been three towers. I've already won
Well, so
first
what is
place.
towers? You gotta remember a lot of people here don't know like what that means.
So towers for my Pokemon friends or MTG or Yu-Gi-Oh, it's your regionals. Think of them as your regionals. And
Sure.
but right now, because MetaZoo is still so new, regionals, and your other games are set up by you get certain points, you get a certain amount of points, you get invited, you qualify for these regionals. Regionals happen, and someone in the chat can correct me, maybe once to twice a year for their respective game. And but right now there's been already three in less than 5 months.
Wow.
So, but that's just because Metas was just rolling out these big money tournaments, trying to get excitement, trying to get more eyes on the game and things like that. So it's been awesome. So the first tower was Water Tower. It was a disaster for me. I then went to Earth Tower in New York City. I missed top 32 by one. And I remember that weekend I said I'm guaranteeing top 32 at Flame. And as of recent of like the last month, I was saying in a couple chats, me and I went live opening a box, and I said I'm guaranteeing top 32. That's how confident I felt. That's how I just felt like I cracked a new level in the TCG. You can't do it without spending enough time doing it. And I
Yeah.
felt that confidence. I cracked top 32.
That's awesome, man. Congrats. I feel like you're in a weird way sponsored, and you're being sponsored by like Pokemon people in a way. And I know Dan Catch 'em All Collectibles. I know you gave him a shout out on your yeah PSA grading where the wait hold on, what is that? Where the standards are made up and the grades doesn't matter. That's great.
And correction, Dan, if you're listening, grades do matter apparently, because a bigger numbers win. Bigger numbers win. So the grades do matter.
Oh yeah, Dan, I've been watching. So I feel like late. I don't know if you've been watching a lot of my lives, but you can see like just the change in my thought in a lot of my lives, and you could see it in Dan's lives. Like Dan is just slowly breaking down, and he's getting more and more raw, and he's really like the filter that Dan was always extremely good at having. Dan is just slowly pulling back that filter, so it's almost non-existent. But
No, I've definitely catch the lives, and if I don't catch the lives, I'll watch the replay. Um, but honestly, I'm just spending an unhealthy amount of time just playing and play testing, creating decks. That all I can do is just have it in the background. So most of
yeah.
the time, I'm actually watching live. Maybe I'll chime in just to say, hi, what's up? But then it's just background noise at the after that. I'm just kind of if I feel like it's something interesting, I'll chime in, but that's pretty much it.
What's like the current time restraints you're having, like learning the game and the new dynamics for cards and stuff? Are they still rolling out new playable cards and stuff like this? Are you constantly having to adapt like every single set that's released? Are you able to play like a pretty standard deck?
Right. So Native came out right before Earth Tower, which was New York City. This was, oh God, I'm already going to forget the time, but May. I want to say it was May, and they released it right before the tournament, and they made it legal, right? So you can just imagine there's going to be a lot of playable cards, but who's going to get the product? Who's going to get it early enough? Partners. And then
Basic Trainer's gonna, because he knows Dan Ketchum Collectibles opening, and what is Dan opening 5% of the entire print run by one guy?
listen, right before then, because we knew, right, us players, we knew what the situation was. I was essentially, Dan was on call. I was like, Dan, you need to be on call 24/7. If X cards pull up, I'm just gonna need you to freaking one day ship that to New York City. He was able to get me get me a few cards, if I recall, for sure. But man, it's insane for towers. The getting is good, as you know, some might say the getting is good right now because the pool is so small.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to learn yet. And my, you know, the pool meaning the player from the player aspect, the player size, and even from the card, you know, the card sets, there's not a lot of them. And even Flame Towers, the way that they are formatted today, they'd almost make it too simple, too easy, where the luck aspect goes way up versus skill. And you only have to like learn 20 cards, 25 cards for these regional type of tournaments, 150K pool tournaments. So it's very easy. Anyone can do it. A dummy like myself can do it, you know, cracking top 32. So it's pretty awesome. So yeah, there's a lot of learning for sure, but regionals, it makes it easy to learn these cards because it's mirror matches. For what I would say Caster's Cup, which is coming up in October, that's build your own deck. Everything is usable. That one's going to be nuts because now you have to memorize essentially something like 1,500 cards, know what they do, and be at the ready.
So do you feel, so this is one of the conversations I've been having on a lot of lives lately when I talk about Pokemon, is just how incredibly like massive just not just the player base is, the collector base. And throughout Pokemon, I look at all these indicators of like how the market's growing, how the hobby's growing, how demand is growing. And a lot of the prices I'm looking at are like the real high-end cards. High-end cards are going crazy. You look at all these Sword and Shield sets, Sun and Moon, XY, even super modern stuff like those are going crazy. But one of the things about Pokemon that's like one of the driving factors, I guess, definitely on my channel, we don't talk enough is the player base. And every single event, every Worlds, every regional, like in 2023, they're at more or less max capacity. They're larger than they were the previous year, and they're continue to grow. And like that's one of those driving factors. That's a super strong indicator for Pokemon. Like, okay, this is the biggest Worlds ever. That, you know, the Hartford Regional was the biggest regional ever. Like everything is multiplying. Do you feel that you still have that demand and that huge player base in MetaZoo, or are you starting to see like the game itself fall off? Because you're in it. If anybody's in it, you're in it.
Oh
You
man,
would know.
man, I've definitely got some takes on that because so from the overall MetaZoo picture, I feel like it's probably never been bigger. Like this is
Really?
as big as they've gotten because you know now with the whole Hello Kitty and I'm gonna skip on the name now, but that whole team, that company that partnered with MetaZoo, I mean they're huge. They're freaking huge. And
I'm not gonna lie, Hello Kitty, I know how big of an IP it is. I know it ranks right up there with Pokemon, but I just don't see it. Like,
listen, I don't see it either. But why would they feel the need to pick it up? They don't need any, you know, they don't need any help from marketing in any way, shape, or form. So why would they pick up MetaZoo? So however that happened, whatever, you know, their reasons are, there's got to be a lot of it helps both parties, right? It helps both companies. They might see something in MetaZoo, and what I'm seeing in MetaZoo is they're going more heavily in the marketing aspect of not so much on the TCG, but figures, plushies, comics, books. The book is now coming out, I believe, at the end of the year. I may be way off on that, but I believe the book is coming out at the end of the year. Now there's definitely going to be shows. They're in the works with, I forget what director or screenwriter. It's crazy. And it's, to me, it's obvious that MetaZoo is swinging hard on the other side of the pendulum, which is just heavy on the physical things, not so much TCG shows and things
Are
like
you
that.
worried? Are you worried they're too spread out though? Because you just named so many things, and I don't personally think the MetaZoo IP is strong enough to carry action figures and plushies and television shows and movies and books and graphic novels and all this stuff. I don't see it being that strong.
From my angle, I'm worried that they're going to stray away from the TCG
Gotcha.
enough, or I should say, they're going to see more momentum on the other aspect, that they're going to not put so much energy and time into the TCG. I could be completely wrong. That's just my kind of my gut feeling that they can't fill every bucket, right? And eventually I think they're just going to go with what's successful. So far, the average for the towers, 3 regionals, again, 200 players. It hasn't really budged. Texas, this last one happened here in Texas and Dallas, the capital of MetaZoo players. And I was actually disappointed how I thought this one was going to break the record. A lot of people thought this one would break the record. But still, the first one was the one that had the heaviest players. So yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of traveling. They've had to cut back and cancel a few towers already because they were having one every single month, 150K tournament every single month. And they just realized that it's too much for folks, right? They can't afford to go to every single city and the expenses that comes with that. And then, only top 32 gets paid. So if you don't make it a top 32, that's out of pocket everything. So
that 150,000 prize pool gets divvied up to the top 32. So what's like the lowest you could win if you take top 32, and then what does the winner take home? Can they make
lowest,
that public?
yes, it's public. It's $500 cash. It's $500 in product, and that's credited to you. So it goes onto your account on the MPM network. You go in there based on your credits. You can go ahead and buy product from their website. So it's pretty cool. So it's $1,000 worth. And then on top of that, your promos. You get a play mat, and for every new tier that you crack, top 16, top 8, top 4, top 2 finalists, you get a promo. You get a new play mat that's stamped with whatever tier you got to, or the new tier that you cracked. So all of that has value because it's very limited. So, me, myself, I've got the play mats. I've got the top 32 promo. I mean, I'm not going to sell it, but a lot of the players that, need to fund the next tower, they'll go ahead and sell it off.
What did number one get then?
Number one, again, in total, it's 50K. I believe it's 30K cash and it's 20K in product or credit.
Wow.
That could be reversed, but yeah, I believe it's 30K cash, 20K in product credit.
That's actually really good. I don't know how MetaZoo's affording this.
Yeah, it's freaking awesome. It's the fact that they're able to have one. They have one scheduled for August. I don't think I'm going to be making that one. And there's one in Charlotte, or not Charlotte. There's one in September, but it's on the same weekend as Charlotte. And if they decide to go through with it, I'm going to have a tough decision. But nothing's for certain yet. So they're saying that one of them's going to get canceled, and they just don't know which one.
Now you're all in on Charlotte Collecticon, right? You're 100% going.
Yes, I'm 100% going until further information has been disclosed by MetaZoo on what Towers is doing. The thing is, though, you really do need a lot of time. That's what I figured out from Flame Tower this past weekend. You need a lot of time to put in. And the Mexican hipster, he might be in the chat. He told me, man, it's a grind trying to really play this thing, competitively, seriously. If you're just having fun, then cool, right? If you're just having fun. But if you're seriously trying to crack top 32, you need to grind out hours daily. That's when I realized that I did crack a new level. I leveled up. and I can feel it. I can feel it in the moves. I can feel it in the gameplay. But man, it takes a lot of hard work. So if we don't know until it's too late, I'm probably just not going to go, because you need X amount of time and effort and energy into test playing and gameplay and whatnot.
So speaking of, so now we talked about MetaZoo. We'll talk more about Pokemon, but so how's your flipper license been going? I see you're still got the Ponychu up. I like the background now. You got your little shells at the Ponychu the prize collection piece.
It's not PK level. It's not PK level type of display shells and cases and whatnot. But I tried. I tried for this one.
No, I like it. No, so
Yeah.
what do you think about like these upcoming TCGs and like some of the speculation? I mean, like Disney Lorcana, people have been talking about that since it feels like a year or two at this point. Like, what do you think, like a new TCG like that? Do you think it's just going to be crazy hyped out the gate? And I don't know if you've heard, if you watch any of Mason Cardinal gaming videos, he's talking about print runs being super low. He asked for 200 booster boxes. They gave him 6, and they ended up pulling him back from him because he's not like a actual in play store or whatever.
Yeah, no, I definitely saw his videos. It's very disappointing because that's what he does. His very last video, it's like it's what I do. And I think he said like something like 6 boxes. And when I get 6 boxes, that's not enough for me to DV up for all the players. And, so it's like, just wait until you have more, just, maybe push it back a little bit. I agree from that standpoint, especially if Lorcana is going to put speculations on, not speculations, stipulations on shops, or even create a threshold where it's like, if you don't host tournaments, you don't get product. I myself, I have a shop here that is just a strict sports shop, but they go through Southern Hobby, and so I asked to see if I could get some Lorcana through them. They say, yep, no problem. Like, it's a super sweet deal. The guy could care less about TCGs. He says, give me $5 per box of whatever I order of anything, Pokemon, MetaZoo, Lorcana, anything. Give me $5 per box and you're good to go. I don't care if you make $1 million from it. And but Lorcana, he just wasn't able to get it.
Yeah.
Because of that, because he's not a shop that's set up for tournaments, nor will he ever. And so he wasn't able to get it. That's a cool thing. From that standpoint, that's actually a cool thing, because it's a company pushing their game and they want to focus on the players. But if you're not going to be ready for everyone to have what they need, why even roll it out? For the flippers, it's freaking amazing, right? Whoever is able to get their hands on this, shops are going to take advantage. Shops are going to take advantage. They're going to get their product. They're going to flip. They're going to maybe, get the raws. I don't know. There's always loopholes. There's always ways around these things. It's from a TCG standpoint, I think it's targeted for kids anyway. So,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? How many adults are really going to play this game?
Listen, it's gonna be scalped to all heavens. I just don't even know if kids will, like that meme where it's somebody please think of this children. I think the children are gonna have a lot of trouble getting their hands on that stuff, or it's gonna be really hard to set kids up with a playable deck if that playable deck cost $600 for a booster box at release, because people are just driving up prices. And this is the thing, Disney Lorcana at the beginning, out the gates, it will be stonked out, but it's just eventually going to be enough time until eventually it's printed to oblivion, and prices for something like that will eventually crack. Like that's what I believe. And the only way that doesn't happen is Disney Lorcana like goes back on everything they said, which was they're going to print this thing to oblivion. Like, they've gone out of their way to make it very clear to the people that they're going to print this thing a lot. But at the beginning, that doesn't always stand true.
So no, they said they were going to print a lot. Everyone expected it to be a lot, right? But even if they print a lot, that in the grading flipping game, it's like the first to market. There's always going to be that race. That's always a play. Lorcana seems like the word that probably gets thrown around a little too much, too loosely. It's the obvious play, right?
Yeah.
You get your Mickeys, you get your Donald Ducks, whatever else is in there. You go grade it.
In this hobby, everybody gets their Scrooge McDuck ready because
and here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. In Lorcana, Disney. It's Daffy Duck. Daffy Duck's not even Disney.
Oh, that's
And
Disney.
huh?
I think Daffy Duck's Disney. No, that's Looney
No,
Tunes.
no, it's Looney Tunes. The thing is, right, just like in Pokemon, right? Any new set, where's the Pikachu at? Give me the Pikachu. Let's send a few out. Let's get it in a 10. Someone's gonna buy it. Someone needs their Pikachu in a 10 from the very latest set. You can do that with a lot of popular Pokemon. In Disney, essentially every single character is going to be popular to someone, right? Like easily 70% of the Pokemon in one set, they're not going to be popular. No one's going to care if it's in a 10. No one's going to care if it's in a slab. For Disney characters, some kids going to want it. Some adults are going to be attached to those memories. You know, if you put a freaking Simba, if you put a freaking Mufasa, Peter Pan, it doesn't matter. Someone's going to want every single pool from that box. So that's what's interesting. But if they're not gonna have enough, it's just gonna be flip, and the profits are gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
The first few flips. But Gem and Pokemon, shout out to him and the new podcast. I'm gonna skip on the name. I don't know if you have it.
Next Gen TCG.
Next Gen TCG. He mentioned that when they went over to Paris, there was this big event. Gary was there, and they were trying to get these decks that folks were playing with. They were going to have players there to have a demo demo tournament, and they wanted to get their hands on these cards, and and the rarity, which one's rare. They're talking to the Lorcana people, and Lorcana people are like, this isn't going to be rare.
Yeah,
your rare slot is going to be printed so that it's available for everyone. Mm-hmm. So from a playing aspect, right, me thinking MetaZoo, from a playing aspect, it's not going to be like MetaZoo where certain prints, certain alt arts are going to be extremely rare. 50 copies of from like the most playable card, but this alt art only gets 50. Lorcana, it seems like they're not going to do that. So it's kind of a bummer from one aspect, from one point of view, but from another point of view, it's like maybe that's the right way to go anyway, right? Have it available for everyone, have it accessible for everyone. And I think it's the key. MetaZoo, one of the things that I've always thought, having these restrictions that only shops can have it, or the certain criteria that you have to meet for MetaZoo to be able to provide you with product, to be a partner. I feel like, no, like provide it for everyone. Let the flippers flip, let the collectors collect, let the players play. Like every pillar is important in a hobby. And I don't think they should just limit it to partners. I think it should be available everywhere, every single shop, every single, big box store. The use and I should be able to get it right directly from the shop. Yeah. But they're all doing it differently. It's 2023. I think they're all trying a different avenue, but it's interesting. It's interesting with Lorcana and how they're going about it with the lack of print right now and whatnot.
Yeah, and someday it will be massively available to everybody. It's just going to take a little while. There's going to be, and for a lot of these people FOMOing in, there's going to be that learning curve for a lot of people. And listen, I've already seen what all the sports guys are doing. I know like Opossum Bud, and I think it was Opossum Bud, made that video talking about like Sports Card Investor, how he was like shitting on Pokemon, talking about Disney Lorcana and stuff. And yeah, that was a real hot take that dude had, like going after Pokemon. But I think he was doing it just for the clickbait. I think he knew what he was doing. He was trying to get people to talk, and by God, it worked. Like so many videos were talking about that. But I will give Disney this. Like one of the things we talk about in Pokemon is we try to say Pokemon is becoming cross-generational. Like your kids are what, like 10 at this point. So that's a second generation in Pokemon. It's really, really hard to argue that Disney's not as cross-generational as it gets. Like your grandparents watch Disney, your parents watch Disney,
listen, yeah, for sure it's cross-generational. There's no question about that. But I've had this theory. I remember I don't know if it was with you, PK, one of the last few times that you had me on, but it was definitely on the live. And my theory was, and I explained this, that I don't think Lorcana is going to be this huge collectible thing. The people that are going to be buying these things is us. We're going to be flipping to each other just like we do with Pokemon. We're flipping to each other. We're grading it first. We're fitting it into the hobby that exists already. I don't think there's going to be this huge jump from the outside, all of a sudden wanting these cards. Already in Disney, there are a lot of pieces, right? Collectibles that are numbered 1 of 50, 1 of 100. They go for like a couple $100.
Yeah.
If that existed in Pokemon, forget about it.
Oh,
Forget about it.
1 of 1 Charizard, a 1 of 1 Pikachu, forget about it.
Freaking, PSA 8 Charizards go for 8. Unlimited Charizards go for what, right? There's tens of thousands of them, and they go for more than what a 1 of 50 Disney collectible would go for. So that alone right there tells me that while yes, there's a collecting community for Disney, it's nothing compared to the Pokemon TCGs sports cards world. Like, this world is very different. There's going to be obviously your handful, there's going to be exceptions, but it's not going to create a wave. It's going to be us buying these cards and holding them and hoping that we can then flip it for more or what have you.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned 1 of 1 cards. Did you see that the 1 of 1 ring card did sell? Did you see who bought it?
Post Maloney. Yeah.
You see the price he allegedly paid?
I thought I read or saw 2.6 or 2.7.
Yeah, 2.6 million is the number I heard.
Yeah, 2.6.
That's a lot, man, for any card, but especially a super modern card. I get it, it's 1 of 1, and the hobby as a whole pumped that card to all oblivion, and everybody was talking about it. I talked about it multiple times. Pokemon channels are talking about it, Magic the Gathering, sports, everybody was talking about it. But $2.6 million. That's imagine just opening a random box of cards and you pull like a $2.6 million lottery ticket. That is crazy.
It's crazy. It's pretty insane. You know, well, okay, so first off, right, him buying that card is huge for MTG. It's huge for TCGs in general. It's huge for the slab community in general. That's pretty awesome whenever a celebrity can get in. My first thought was Logan Paul. What effect can this have primarily for Magic the Gathering? Right? Is this going to bring more eyes to Magic the Gathering? Is this going to bring more eyes to collecting in Magic the Gathering, specifically slabs? Because MTG players, the MTG community, are known to not care about slabs. So
and especially PSA slabs, one step even further, like they're Beckett guys,
Right. So my first thought was, what effect, positive effects, mainly, will this have on the MTG community and collecting slabs now, grading slabs, then wanting to buy slabs? And I immediately went to, if anything positive happens from this, I know the homies, aka everyone here in this chat, everyone that watches this, all the flipper gangs, you guys are going to be on top of it. You guys are going to be like calling the homies like, hey, what cards are we getting? We need to put it in the slab because Post Maloney just bought a freaking 2.6 card, and this is going to blow up the hobby. We need to get in this market. If you weren't in this market, the homies here, the flippers here, are going to freaking take advantage of that. So I started laughing when I thought about that. I was like, of course, people that have never dabbled in MTG are now going to dabble in MTG and flip if that happens. So I don't know. What do you think? Do you think it has a positive?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything but positive that comes from that. And I hate to say it, but big prices in any hobby gives hobbies validity to a lot of people. And even when I talk to some people and I talk about like Pokemon, one of the things I always find myself talking about when I talk to people is you got to start talking about like the prices of stuff, because anybody and you know this, you talk about it all the time, I talk about it. We are in the niches of the niches. We take for granted a lot of things that people know here that the rest of the world does not have any clue. So when you start to look at Pokemon and you start to look at the prices we pay for a lot of stuff, the only way you give that validity is those big price tags, because then somebody who's not familiar with Pokemon in the day to day, they go, wait, a Pokemon card sold for how much money? And then the next question is, wait, who is buying that? And then that's where I always answer, I don't really know.
Yep.
And at least for those big sales, like then you can say, oh, this famous rapper, Post Malone, he's the one that bought the card. So it gives the hobby more validity. And I think you need like generic eyes to look at this hobby. Like Logan Paul brought a lot of that in, you know. But with all those new collectors, the people that might not really know what they're looking at, given enough time, because time is king in this hobby, but given enough time, they'll work their way down the rabbit hole, even if it's just a percentage of the people that entered. Let's say it's 1%, 2%, 5% of the people that joined in that hype. If 5% can make it deeper down the rabbit hole, the hobby as a whole is so much stronger on the back end that, yeah, I think those huge sales, those big numbers, they're needed for this hobby. What do you think though?
So because of that, then my next instinct, right? And you're no stranger to this, PK. You know, right away I put my tinfoil hat on, and it's like, you know, it's great. Obviously, Post Malone has been in the hobby. People know that he likes Magic the Gathering. He grew up with it, but and he's got money. So it's like I don't think it's a stretch to believe that he did buy this. But also, what does it take for Magic the Gathering or PSA or any big entity in the hobby to just say, hey, Posty, we're gonna give you X amount. It's your card. We'll pay X percentage. You go buy it and just freaking go in front of the cameras, blow it all up. That's all we want you to do. Like, you know, because like you just said, there's a big advantage to bringing in a person like that and really, you know, we're having the conversation right now.
Yeah.
You know, what positive effect can it have? What positive effect does it have on MTG players, MTG communities? We know we're Pokemon people, and we know that the MTG folks do not care about slabs.
Yeah.
You get a big person, a big celebrity that all of a sudden shows off a slab. How many folks are just now going to like, maybe I should get a slab for the collection? You know, maybe I should get my first slab. And then you're gonna have people, you know, like Greeny and you know other folks that've been doing MTG for a long time, and you're gonna make your what are your EV cards right now?
Oh, the Unagabas or whatever.
The Unagabas. There's a card right now for MTG that is the exact, you know,
Equivalent.
what, you know, similar or comparable. Someone's going to grab 30 of them, grade them, and test the market and see what happens. You know, someone's going to do that. So, yeah, it's again, that's tinfoil. That's just me going way out there. But man, when there's money involved, when there's this much money involved, when PSA has a lot to benefit with Beckett, with CGC, grading companies, the TCG companies themselves, there's way too much to benefit to not make a play on that, you know, not make a play and reach out to these celebrities. It's like, hey man, you know, let's get you this card. We'll pay X percentage. Just blow it up. You don't even have to mention our name. Just blow it up, you know?
I mean, I think that's a little too tinfoil hatty for me to get behind, but like I like the thought process. I just don't have enough faith in Magic of the Gathering, or more importantly, Hasbro, to be able to big brain an idea like that. But and I feel like they've already like done the whole Post Malone thing, you know, like milking his celebrity but I want you to think about this. So Post Malone's Black Lotus that he bought, the one signed by Christopher Rush, I think he spent like $800,000 on that card. And then you have a modern one of one selling for 2.6 million. And Christopher Rush has passed away. He's not alive anymore. That Alpha Black Lotus might as well be a one of one because it's in such a high grade, because it has the signature on it, but yet it's still 800,000 opposed to 2.6. You know, sometimes I question the market too. And I would love to hear your thoughts. Like, where do you think all this money's coming from? So obviously we know where Post Malone gets his money from, but he's just one person. Like in Pokemon, you look at all these recent sales, and I know you've been selling some stuff. Who do you think is the one buying a lot of this stuff? Do you know?
Do I know? No.
I mean, like, do you know the speculate? Like, who's doing it? And especially modern stuff, like the stuff you know is going to crash in value, you know?
I mean, just today I was watching the replay on Dan's last live, and some of the numbers that he was throwing out there, that these Yagunaba EV cards, the sets, what they're going for.
Yeah,
800,000.
1900 in a PSA 10 set. He saw
Yeah, 1900,
confirmed
800.
sales. That's going down though.
Sure, 100% it is, right?
Yeah.
Who's the one clicking and clicking buy? Who's doing that? Right? Because obviously it's someone with at least a job, right? Because to spend almost $2,000 on a set, on a modern set that you can easily get, what are they, $15 a pop?
Yeah,
You go
and
graded.
93% PSA 10 rate. 93%. That means if you bought 100 of them and you graded like them blindly, you're more or less 90. I mean, sure. Well, sure. For everybody out there, we'll get in the semantics. I'm sure people didn't send the shitty quality ones. So maybe it's technically less than 93, but still, it's a very easy 10. Put it that way.
Reggie cars with the know-it-all collectibles. It's what did Catchmall say? Moderner the better, betterer, moderner the better.
Yeah, the monitor, the
It's
better.
one of those things where, right, there was a shift. I don't remember how long ago, but there was a shift in me where all of a sudden, half joking, half serious, was like modern over vintage. Easy.
Yeah.
Easy. Because so long we were having this debate, vintage over modern, yada yada, modern over vintage. It has nothing to do with which cards make sense, and do vintage cards, they have way more variables that you would say I can bank on this card being valuable tomorrow and in the future, whereas modern wouldn't. Today it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, I've come to learn. I think we always knew this, we just never really put it into terms or come to terms that it really is up to demand, and demand is king above all. Not rarity, not cool or not cool. Not what it is. The people. Do the people want it? Is there demand? And what we know about people in psychology is also that once you get a good amount of people running towards you only takes a few people running towards the item, and that's going to gather a few more eyeballs, and those eyeballs are going to also follow, and then all of a sudden you've got a tsunami of people running for no reason. They don't know why they're running for it, but they're running towards the item. They're clicking buy. They've got the money. So
But what's
they
the
just
end
don't
game?
know. They just don't know any better. No, they just don't know any better.
But you don't do you think people are buying $1,900 worth of Pokemon cards and they don't know better?
Yes.
Like you got to keep in mind, for the average American, like $1,900 is a lot of money. The average like household income is like 73 grand. 1,900 is a decent percentage of 7,300 to say that they just don't know better. It's just I struggle to get behind what's going on.
You said it a few moments ago. We are in the niches. We are the niches of the
Yes.
niches. We're in it.
We're in it.
Right?
We're definitely in it.
And let's see how many people are watching. I can't see the count.
101 right now.
101. What does that represent as far as the Pokemon hobby as a whole? What percentage?
0.00000000001.
There you go. Like, some people are really just going to spend frivolously, and it's like, we don't care. We just buy it. We like it. That's what's hot right now. And if you buy it, you're hot, and put it on Instagram, and you're good to go. You're good to go. And when it goes to 50%, when it declines 50% or more, it doesn't matter, because you'll just go and get the next thing. You go sell it for 50% loss, and you'll use that 50% loss and go get the next thing.
Keep compounding your losses into bigger losses.
I think that's what's happening, honestly, at this point, man. Modern over vintage, man. It's the majority of the people are just not that savvy. They're not that smart. They're just buying. They're just consumers. I'm a consumer to a point, and in some things it just doesn't matter. I just want it. Right? I just want it. I'm gonna get it. I don't care if it is worth. There's MetaZoo items that I know MetaZoo is not guaranteed tomorrow, and I'm paying today's prices. Whatever today's prices are, I'm paying today's prices, because I want that card, or I want that collectible, whatever it is. So I think there's levels to this, and there's tiers, and the higher you go up in the tier, it's the most brainwashed consumer, in the hobby. it's the food pyramid. You know, the food
Yeah.
pyramid, and but it's the upside down
It's
food
the
pyramid.
upside down pyramid. Yeah, that could be it, where the base is just people doing crazy stuff all the time. But I listen, I struggle because I think I struggle most is because the barrier to entry for a lot of this stuff is so small. The barrier to entry, this, but even you've mentioned this on other lives, like it took you a long time to do something as simple as send your first PSA submission. Like you always just felt comfortable using middlemen, and you
Mhm.
until eventually one of your middlemen told you to stop middlemaning through them and just send your own cards, because even they were like, basic, you need to start sending your own cards. But that took you all the way up from what? Took you 7 years to do that, send your first PSA submission?
Truly, yeah. I during the hype, I still use CNG Emporium. Shout out to those guys over there. I send them, I don't know, about $1 million worth, and they gave me back 10,000. But that's what happens when PSA shuts down. But no, I still use their services. It was great. It's easy. I mean, when you're talking about 600 cards,
Hey,
I think it is easier to just send them
I've
off.
I've sent ZNG two grade and consignment plays in like the last 2 weeks, two different submissions. So
It's one of those things that's, if it's easier, depending on how much time you got on your hands and how much stuff you're sending, maybe it makes sense. I mean, right now, though, the caveat is that if you submit through CNG, you then have to sell it, right?
yeah, yeah.
That's a caveat.
But
So,
but the beautiful thing is you don't pay any of the fees.
right.
So it's like you
And it
have the
is cheaper.
cards.
And it is cheaper, I believe, what, 50 cents to $1 or
Yeah,
something?
yeah. Something
Yeah.
like that.
So
Yeah.
it's cheaper. You don't do the work. It's a service. That's the reason why, as a maintenance tech myself, is like, let's go get the oil change at the dealership, because it's that much easier. I save time, I get to hang out, and whatever. Like, it's a service like anything else. It makes life easier. People are going to do that. But honestly, it was just the pressures of the homies that was just like, man, everyone's doing it, I'm not. I'm getting yelled at by my middleman that I should be doing this on my own. And it's just like, you know what? Sure, let's try it. I learned the process. And now I would say, well, I haven't sent one off in about a month and a half, but I've got another pile ready to go. Got
Yeah.
another pile ready to go. And now I'm doing it on my own, nowhere near at the levels that you guys are doing it. Still working on my flippers license, but yeah, it's man, it's, oh man, I wish we could actually quantify the amount of people that are deep in this hobby versus the people that are just watching the movie and watching all the commercials and the marketing, watching, the YouTubers freaking pulling X cards or showing off X cards, and they're just getting brainwashed. That's all it is.
I'll put it this way, the people that are really deep, the number is so low that I feel like I know most of them. Like, as preposterous as a comment that is, I feel like I know most of the people that are really deep, because you can only stay hidden really for so long until eventually you make your way out and people kind of know who you are. And if I don't know them, we're talking Kevin Bacon, what is it, 7 degrees, 6 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
It's way less than 6 or 7 degrees of separation for me to like get to that person. If I don't know them personally and they're deep enough down the hobby, there might be like 1 or 2 degrees of separation max. There's nothing greater than that. But now, for the broader end of the hobby, when I walk into my local Target or Walmart and I see somebody looking at the Pokemon aisle and just looking at the cards that are on the shelf, the degrees of separation then from me to that person is huge. But for this close of the hobby, it's not many degrees of separation
And
at
here's
all.
the thing. This is what I've noticed. I thought about this actually the other day, which is weird, because it's in regards to this topic, where you mentioned that you may know all of them because it's so small, right?
Yeah.
So
Or maybe not all of them might have been a little bit of an exaggeration. Some people will take
it's
me way out of context and be like, okay,
it's hyperbole, obviously, but
yeah.
still, I don't think it's a stretch. I don't think you're too far off. Whatever that niche of the niche group looks like, you know a good chunk, a
Yeah.
nice solid chunk of that. And it's simply because when you look at the consumer that looks at PokeRev, Leon Hart's, videos, what those views are, what those channels are pulling for views. Folks like us, right? We started as collectors and whatever, and we started to stray away, including myself. Now I'm over here trying to get my flipper's license. Little by little, as this freaking hobby is just trucking along, we're straying away from your prototypical person in the hobby. We're no longer that prototypical cookie cutter. Let's go to the shelves, buy some packs, open it, put it in the binder.
Yeah.
We're so far gone from that. And the further it goes, the worse it's gonna get. But the other end is just getting bigger and bigger. And it's just like, yep, hit the shelf, buy the packs, rip it, put it in the binder. The only thing is now they're more exposed to the value. They're exposed to the slabs, putting it in plastic, the whole flex culture. There's all of that going for them, and they're hyping it up. And all we're doing is, and when I say we, it's more than you guys. All you guys are saying like, oh, you would pay X amount for this? Cool. Like,
If you would pay that, yeah.
I've been in this hobby long enough. Sure, I know how to do this. I know how to freaking grade a card and flip it. So it's like, yeah, I've had an eBay account for my whole time buying. Now I'm gonna start selling, right?
Yeah.
Where most of the people that are getting in the hobby are like, let me open an eBay account to freaking start buying cards.
Yeah.
It's a process, and so I don't think you're too far off when you say that most of all of them, because I really do think it's very small. It's growing. It's just like anything else. It'll grow. I mean, when you have I don't know if he's still in the chat, but Mace, shout out Mace. When you have Mace grading cards in the shop, because certain things just make sense. Shops are doing that all over the world. I mean, I guess, to exaggerate there a little bit, all over the world, the shops are grading. They know what to grade. They're involved. They're at the very minimum watching YouTube channels of all these hype channels, and that's how they fall into channels like yours, and that's how they'll leave these the super hype channels, and they start straying away to the people that, when I look at my subscription versus what it looked like before, all of those just mainstream, I'm going to call them mainstream hype boys, and no offense to any of them, that's their job. I don't watch any of them.
Yeah.
It's all informative, channels. It's all talking about the flip game, the stats, what's good, what's bad, what's selling, what's not selling, what's the yield percentage, what's the freaking 10% rate. It's
get excited about spreadsheets. You got to be deep down the rabbit hole to get excited. You're like, oh yeah, spreadsheet video, bring it on.
Exactly. we're subscribed to Patreons and whatnot, paywalls. We're getting into paywalls, and it has nothing to do with providing Leon Hart with, or PokeRev or whatever with monthly subscription to packs. It is to information. Who's doing that in the Pokemon hobby? A kid is not rolling into the hobby and saying, I need more information. They're just saying, how do I get the next hot card? I'm going to follow X people. They're going to tell me what's hot. I'm going to buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's crazy. And then even when you remove yourself, I mean, we get so engrossed in YouTube, and you think of PokeRev getting the most views. A good video of him is, 200,000 views in the first 1 or 2 days. 200,000 views is a ton of views. But then how many of those 200,000 views, like when you remove out of YouTube, like even YouTube, while YouTube is the biggest social media platform in the world in a way, it's still a niche. Most people on their average life don't watch YouTube videos every day. They go home, they look on their phone, they turn on their TV, they watch movies. So that's even a niche. YouTube itself is a niche. And for some people, they might struggle to even think that. But out of his 200,000 views, how many people exist outside of those 200,000 views? It's got to be 800,000 more. Like, it could be maybe millions more. Hell if I know, but it's crazy when you start to peel back the layers and really look at it from the broad, and it's like, oh.
That's very
it makes
true.
You feel good too. Like,
yeah. But that's a great point, though. That's a great point. 200 views, right, on a given channel of the most hyped Pokemon channel, right? And you're saying, and I think actually that's a little too soft of a number. 800,000 are still yet to be exposed to the YouTube content.
Yeah, it's more than that.
Are those the people that are saying, "Oh, this Yuga Nabla sets, I guess that's what they're going for. I guess they're awesome, and this is what I need to pay to get it." And they really don't know that they're very attainable, that they're overprinted. It's available for everyone. Everyone in the world can have one. And they don't know this information. They don't have this because it's only 200,000 at the max watching these things. And again, the Pokerevs, the Leonhards, the Real Breaking Nates, those guys, they're not giving any information. They're not giving information on print runs, how you can get them, how easily you can attain them, how easily they grade. They're not giving this information. They're just saying, this is cool, this is awesome. And those 200,000, folks, how many of those people watch your channel as well? Watch Dan Ketchumall, all the informative type style, even SM Pred. SM Pred is closer, is strained towards the entertainment, but it's still extremely informative compared to the Pokerevs and Leonhard. So, yeah, I think you make a great point. I think the outside people that are now watching YouTube are the ones spending $2,000 on that whole set. That's what it is. We just figured it out.
Yeah,
We just figured it out.
You want to? We're gonna make this like a relatively shorter live, which can't be a basic trainer 24-hour, but we're gonna go for probably about an hour more. But you want to answer some chats or questions from the chat because I've seen some questions come in.
Let's do it.
If anybody has questions, now's your time to ask them. But people are saying PK told Basic Trainer needs a 24-hour live stream. They think that's what we're here for. I wish. When is the 24-hour live stream coming, Basic? You've been hyping it up now for over a year. You got plenty of people you could call to hop on. You can do it. I believe in you.
No, I do want to. So just recently, I remember you and I were DMing. You were giving me a few links, a few videos, and you caught me right in the middle of moving. I was relocating. So I'm now kind of settled in, and now it's with MetaZoo, and I've made this big shift over the last 2 to 3 months. Even in the last 2 to 3 months, I've made a bigger shift over to MetaZoo, but it's strictly in the TCGs. And again, the whole spill of you need to spend a lot of time play testing and whatnot, gameplay. That I just don't know. When I'm going to be able to find time to be able to do more lives. I want to do more lives. I love the lives. But yeah, it's just like, when can I do it? It might be the case where whenever I decide to go live, that's going to be the 24-hour. That's going to be the 24-hour live stream.
Go big or go home.
I'm just going to do it, because to do it regularly now, again, MetaZoo looks like, for whatever reason, they're starting to pull back on the regionals. Don't know what that means, but if it means that I'm just going to have more available time to myself, then that just means that I can now go live regularly and set something up. I would love to do that. That sounds amazing. Staying up 24 hours is not that crazy. Yeah. It's not that crazy.
David Shepard said, what are your thoughts on master sets of Pokemon or any TCG in general? Decent investment, sealed better, ? I mean, so for master sets, I think of two different answers. One, you're going the binder route. Binder route's actually a lot of fun for a lot of people and super cheap in relative, because binder cards, you don't have to worry about absolute near mint, gem mint 10 contender, like the best of the best, going to take you forever to source binders. And especially if you're willing to go even a little less than near mint and just go light play, maybe even moderate play, to do binder collections of any set super cheap. Now, that's one thing, and I think that's great if you want to do that. Now, if you want to go master sets and you want to do the ultimate master set and you go the grading route, sourcing cards, big money, tons of work, could take years to do that. So decent investment or sealed better. So investment, see, that's where binder collections are really hard to put prices on because of what I just mentioned. Condition rarity throughout that binder makes it really hard to price that. And then you need to find somebody that wants to buy all of them at once. So most people with a good binder collection, if you're doing it for investment, you have no option but to break that binder down. You can't really sell it as a whole. So investment, it's definitely going to be more work and potentially lower gains if your condition rarity is real shitty, especially like binder dings. Sealed better. Sealed better. I mean, again, like for vintage sets, like you're gonna get expensive to start picking up sealed booster boxes of like Deoxys and Team Rocket Returns and any Nintendo set. What are your thoughts on that question, Basic?
And you might have to read that question again for me, but
So he said, what are your thoughts on master sets of Pokemon or any TCG in general? Decent investment or sealed better?
so master sets in general, and I could be the only one that's thinking this, but because of where we've come from, right? I mean, again, when we all started, we'll pick up a binder and it's gonna just slap us in the face with nostalgia. Like, oh man, look at
Binder
this.
slap.
It's got all these vintage cars, like crap, Now, how many of those binders still exist, right? They're all gone. They're gonna be, obviously there's gonna be exceptions, but they're all gone. You're not gonna find those. So now we really are talking about modern sets. I don't think they're gonna be huge at all, just because everything is overprinted, right? Now everything attrition is not going to be a thing. So therefore, and on top of that, we have shifted from raw cards and binders to plastic, putting everything in hard plastic, putting everything or investing in sealed boxes. Before that wasn't a thing. It was collecting. You were collecting a box. You weren't investing in a box. Now the hobby, I'm going to say as a whole here lightly, has shifted over into investing. So I'm going to go once again. I'm going to run with the crowd. Wherever the crowd's going, I feel like that's where the money is. So it's investing in the sealed and not raw, not binders. There's been a few times where people reach out to me to buy their master sets, even if it is Kickstarter, whatever. And it's just like, I have no interest, because my interest on my end is I'm going to grab the good cards. I'm going to grab the valuable cards and grade it and flip it. But you're taking a lot of risk with that when you're dealing with, you mentioned it, binder dings and whatnot. I just don't want to deal with that hassle. I don't want to lose money right off the rip because I bought a binder. I'd rather have the box, because I know that at least there's a great chance to get a high grade. May not be a 10, but it's going to get a high grade versus a binder card.
So question for you, Basic. Fresh Tat says, how many Moonbrowns do you now officially own?
7. No, I don't know. I don't know. I'm still waiting for Moonbryon to hit my sweet spot for a Moonbryon PSA 10, because screw the 9. That's what I'm saying. Even I should screw the 9. I need a 10. I need that Moonbryon at about $150 or 200.
Oh, you'll never see that.
It'll never happen. It will never happen. So therefore, I'll never own one. I would have to pull one.
So Tom B, when we were talking about where the money's coming from, he goes, I really don't know. It's just a lot of people throwing it on a credit card, I assume. That's always a possibility. Let's see. So yes. Brother Brock said, I'd assume the people buying black labels have money to blow most of the time. It does even put a dent in their wallet. Good for them. I mean, when
you're buying a 10K Moonbryon.
I was just saying, you bought a 12K Moonbryon. Like, if that's not putting a dent in your wallet, like you're doing stuff out there. So good for you. Yeah. I mean, you deserve all those cards.
Instead of questioning these people, we should be praising them and telling them they're doing a great job, because these are the guys that are sustaining the hobby and keeping it freaking just skyrocketing, right? They're the ones that are adding more eyeballs to the hobby with these big numbers. So we should not be crapping on them. We should be actually, applauding and congratulating them. Like, yeah, you did the right move, man.
Yeah, you did the right move there. I think of that scene from Toy Story where Buzz has Woody and they got the rocket strapped to Buzz's back, and he's like blasts off, and he's like, Buzz, you're flying, and he's like, I'm not flying, I'm falling with style. That's what these guys are doing. And then, at the end, Woody's like, wait, that's a rocket. Rockets explode. Like that's the scene I'm thinking of. But all these guys are they're falling with style right now. So Give him
Uh,
credit where credit's due.
I am going to read a recent one. Skater Ernesto says, somebody clip that, screw the 9, I need a 10. And this is what I mean, man. It's, even for myself, obviously for the right card, extra vintage that is going to cost X amount, give me the 9, because a 9 is still going to bring more value. But for certain things that are just like, you know what, paying X amount makes sense because it's not a crazy, ridiculous amount. Moonbreon is ridiculous for me. So I would need a 9. So I'm being just funny with that one because I know that I'm not gonna ever buy a 10. So I might as well just say I need that in a 10 because of the prices. But me myself, because of mainstream, because of social media, no one cares about 9s anymore. If it's a modern card, yeah, screw the 9. If it's a modern card, I feel like if I have a modern card in a 9, it's like, what am I doing with my life? I should just jump off the. I would just jump ship. If I'm buying modern PSA 9s, I should just jump ship. Vintage, extra crispy vintage, I still need them in PSA 9s.
Or a modern 4. This
Or
is
a
the
modern 4.
this is the pride of my collection basic. I can't wait to bring this to Charlotte to show everybody. Like, I have no clue why this. I'm gonna do a guess that grade. So it's just gonna be blocked out, and then I'm gonna have people look at the card and everybody pre-grade it. Most people watching this video will know, but they'll
So
probably
what do you
forget.
think? What happened with that slab?
I don't know.
Or that card, I should say.
I can't tell.
Okay.
It's so clean. I just can't tell. I mean, there's like a little whitening on a corner, but like a little whitening is not a 4.
I know you're gonna lose money if you crack it, but you should just crack it for the for the content and see what it gets,
No, this is a personal collection piece, man. I don't want to crack it.
Oh, is that the one with your kid opened?
No, this is
Oh.
just a 4, so I love it so much. Like, I love this card way more than it's worth, which is 0.
I was so again watching Dan's latest live the replay. Someone brought, I don't know if it was Brad G. Someone brought up the topic on why don't you guys, or why doesn't Dan chase the consecutive serialized numbers, right? So
that would be impossible, man.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
To grade in bulk, man, and do every card individually on a PSA form.
Here's what I'm trying to say, right? With that, because you brought up the PSA 4 server, it reminded me of a PSA 5 set that I had. So I sent off one of each. The WB promo Mewtwo, Pikachu, Dragonite, Electabuzz, right?
Yeah.
And I sent off the set thinking they're gonna get 9s and 10s, and I got them all back in 5s. Well, they're all consecutive. They're all serialized. So you know what I did? I already had a set in 9. I sold the 9 and I kept the 5 because they're 5s. Yeah. And it's consecutive order. So it's like, man, that is so awesome. So there's people out there that are going to want to pay that premium, like a dummy like myself, that would want that PSA 5 WB promo set versus, the individual PSA 9s that are, it's got random numbers and random certs. Yeah, it's a thing, man. People want it.
But no, what like Dan was talking about, to put each card in their individual slot on a PSA form, especially if you're doing like big grade and plays and you got 20 plus of a card, to do them all in order. I mean,
yeah. Because at that point, you have to do each one individually versus just chunking 20 of them.
Yeah, instead of just quantity 20, and then those are the best type of submissions too, when you just have one card and it's like done.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. It only takes one of you crazy MFers to try it. You get successful, or you get a successful return with a consecutive cert. You go sell it and you double what it would just selling each one, and then everyone's going to do it.
Yeah, then you start breaking down. You're like, well, this is how much time it cost me to just do these cards, and this is how much more money I made by my time. And that's
going to be Dan. Dan's going to do that spreadsheet and that breakdown of his time.
I tell you what, I think Dan's too lazy to do that. I don't know if Dan has that in him.
Dan has to. He has to do it for the content. Just one. Try it for one. Try it for just one experiment. Try to get it, and if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work, and then you move on. But if you're able to pull it, and then you go, throw it up on eBay, and if the set is going for 2,000, you put yours for 3,000, 4,000, whatever you want. Someone's gonna buy it, guaranteed. It's the most obvious play in the hobby.
So Andreas says, what are your thoughts on the opportunity arising out of Heart Gold Soul Silver to Diamond and Pearl sealed product? No eyes on it at the moment. Low print comparatively to vintage and modern. Prices either dipping or staying stagnant. Heart Gold Soul Silver sealed product is going crazy right now. Diamond and Pearl sealed product is hitting like all-time highs right now. Now for Diamond and Pearl, like level X's and Heart Gold Soul Silver, when you start to talk about primes and you start to talk about like legend cards, legend cards way undervalued, especially even as simple as Heart Gold Soul Silver base. When you're talking Ho-Oh and Lugia, both those cards are criminally underrated. Heart Gold Soul Silver base as a set is criminally underrated. Unleashed, Undaunted, fantastic sets. The just commons, uncommons, like just the artworks. Just the borders for Heart Gold Soul Silver timeline is just fantastic. Some of the best artworks. Let's see, like the Ghastly, the Haunter. I've been cracking a lot, or I shouldn't say a lot. That's not really true, but I cracked a couple of these, like the Heart Gold Soul Silver theme decks, just because they come with the pack in it and stuff. But no, I like them. I wouldn't say that they're dipping too much. It really just depends on the card, depends on the rarity. What do you think about like Heart Gold Soul Silver and Diamond and Pearl timeline?
Here's the thing that's funny. I was just actually spotting a few cards the other day, and what I noticed, I'm like, wow, these are going for low. There's a few cards that I graded myself. And I comped trying to get the 10. I got the 9s, but it's like, man, they're just not, if it's not a 10, right? Today's culture, if it's not a 10,
Yeah.
it's just not good. But the seal, though, the sealed is crazy. The sealed is crazy. And I just feel like for those mid-era, maybe not today, maybe they will tomorrow. But right now, people just don't care about the raw, about the slab, especially if it's not a 10. People want the seal. People want the 10s, worst case. So yeah.
But I think it's fun to get. Now, are they gonna print out, or are they gonna like stonk out and go crazy? It's hard to say, but for what they're valued at to what I think they could have potential in the future, could be huge upside gains. And they're getting harder and harder to source too, for sure. Like mid-air
Well,
stuff.
do you believe that the modern people that have gotten in the past 5 years, and they haven't shifted over to vintage, just like we did? We bought what we knew. We bought what brought us more nostalgia, and as we spent more time in the hobby, we got to see a lot of these different cards that we never saw before. Trophy cards, promos that are very attainable, but we'd never seen before. Japanese, especially Japanese exclusives. Do you think that the newer crowds are eventually going to go through that process naturally, or do you think that's out the window? And
I think
so these
I think for sure a percentage of them will definitely make it there. The only problem is the amount of cards that exist to source just don't even exist. So you can never have everybody get there. Like, I'll tell you right now, if tomorrow you had the same amount of demand for any modern card, hits, any of those Heart Gold Soul Silver timeline cards, you evaporate supply in 30 seconds. Like, there is no supply of those cards to allow that demand to really happen. So I think that's why those errors are really going to be handcuffed the most. It's just the supply does not exist. And especially in high grades, if you want to like go and worry about PSA 8s and shit, like you could probably source a decent amount of like primes and stuff and 8s and 9s. But when you start to go the 10s, like supply just dries up so quickly. I think it handcuffs that market from ever being able to take off. Because in order for a market to take off, like we're seeing with Sun and Moon team up cards. Yeah. Team up cards work because team up cards are mass produced because there's a ton of them that exist. So the supply is there to allow the hype to make it get bigger.
I see what you're saying.
You know, it's just like, I don't know, you talked about WB stamp movie promos, but like, let's say WB creator packs, right? Like those cards. There was only 5,000 of those packs. Let's say all the demand goes into like those cards and the Pikachu and stuff. There's just not enough on the market. Like the demand would far out surpass supply. So then people would just not want to collect anymore. People
Yeah.
don't want to do stuff that's hard. They want easy. They want a card. They want to be able to go on eBay and say, here's 20 listings. I want to sort by lowest price first. I'm gonna buy that one.
Modern or better?
Monitor the better. And it's a we gotta title the video that way in the future. Monitor the better.
Got a guy here, Danny, saying that sequential plays, I have done it. It works.
Okay.
Someone's got to do it. Someone out there's got to do it.
So D Dad Vader said, PK and Basic Trainer, what are your guys' favorite Sword and Shield set and also your favorite set of all time and why? Very curious. My favorite Sword and Shield set is Brilliant Stars, and my favorite set of all time is Skyridge. I love the artwork. I love the rarity. I love the scarcity of that, of Skyridge. I love the story of Skyridge that came out May 2003 in June. Wizard of the Coast lost the rights to Skyridge, and then in August Nintendo took over, and then that's when we saw Ruby and Sapphire release. So I love that story. I love that it's not a question of, we always question print runs. Was this set short printed? We know it was short printed. We know there was only one print run because Wizard of the Coast lost the rights to it and demand was low. As for Brilliant Stars, I love a lot of the Brilliant Stars. I love the fact that Brilliant Stars brought back character rare subsets very similar to Cosmic Eclipse. I love Cosmic Eclipse because it had character rare subsets. Great set. Brilliant Stars bringing that back as the first Sword and Shield set. That set slapped real hard at the beginning, so that's my favorite Sword and Shield set. What about you, Basic? Favorite vintage, favorite Sword and Shield set?
I have to copy you with the Brilliant Stars, and it's the first one because I think the Charizard looked classy. I thought it was one of the first classiest cards to come out of a set.
Yeah.
But most importantly, I think it was the only Sword and Shield set that I ever opened. And two, it's got my favorite Kingler art. My favorite Kingler art of all time is actually the full art from Brilliant Stars. It's an awesome art. So that's the reason why that was my favorite. My all-time favorite. Come on, it's Fossil. Duh. Avi. Fossil just same thing. It's like I opened so much Fossil, man. It is, man, it pumps nostalgia right into my veins. Anything, Moltres, Muck. I love Muck. I love Muck because of freaking Fossil. I love Muck because of the show when Muck just freaking body slammed Bellsprout, and Bellsprout couldn't do anything. And so I just kind of make those connections. And yeah, there's Articuno, one of my favorite Pokemon, Aerodactyl, one of my favorite Pokemon. Easy, Fossil for me.
That's a good answer, though.
They need to, what they need to do? They need to print base set on it. Well, I guess they kind of did that with Evolutions, right? But now they need to do it with Jungle. They need to do it with Fossil. But then if it was up to me, right, strictly those Pokemon from those sets, including trainers, including your energies or what have you, but just give it that modern twist.
Oh, okay. Right? Modern twist. Okay. I was going to say, like, they've already done base set and base set 2, then they redid it in Legendary Collection, then they redid it again.
Right. It's like the Pikachu from Celebrations, right? That's like the first one where like it's the same art, but it's just blown up. It's full art. It's got a new twist to it. That's what I would love to see from every single card from the first, original sets.
Yeah. Would you like to, do you think you could only do that with Gen 1 sets, or could you do that with like a Neo set, or could you do it like with a later Nintendo set, like a Team Rocket Returns with those Gen 3 Pokemon? Could you do it?
I think
But
you
it,
could do it with it. I think you could do it with any set, and you just grab, maybe you cut it down to like the most popular prints, kind of like how Celebrations did it, where they took the popular Pokemon or popular prints that represent the last 25 years. Maybe they do something like that and just add it to, okay, so let Aerodactyl. Maybe they take that same art, right? Give it the modern, treatment, full art, not new maneuver or a new art or a new angle. No, it's the same angle, just modern art to it, full arted, and that's going to be your chase of that set. They need to do something. They could go on forever doing that.
Brother Brock says, PK, will you be buying either the new simplified Chinese Charizard boxes? Yes, I will. Godspeed to me.
Which set?
Like in simplified Chinese, they're coming out with new collection boxes, and their Charizards in it. Very similar to like Champions Path. Imagine Champions Path, like the Rainbow Charizard is going to be in that. And they're going to go crazy, and I'm going to buy it. And I've been dabbling a lot in the Chinese market, actually really hard. But the problem is the Chinese market, I just know so little bit about the market basic that it's scary to dabble in it because I don't have a true understanding of like print numbers. Even like the Marnie collection boxes, I've heard rumors about 2 more reprints that are potentially going to happen like September and I think December. I think this September is supposed to be a reprint of those boxes, but like I can't even find like reliable sources to back up any of this information, so I do get nervous.
Yeah.
Yeah,
those are gonna be cool for sure.
Magikarp Collector says waiting for that Rumble set to take off. I love myself some Rumble cards. I bought a partial set when I was in the Denver Collecticon. I think I showed you.
Oh, I love that Rumble set. I know a lot of people say they look weird and ugly, but it's like it's what makes it unique and it's what's awesome. I mean, during the peak, these cards went bananas. So I mean, you want them to blow up again? I mean, they did. I mean, then again, everything did it during the hype. So
and they're impossible to grade too. Those Rumble collection boxes, straight out of the box, PSA 8s if you're lucky. So they're, yeah. So Dadel Vader said, "Thank you guys so much for answering. So what about your guys' favorite old school EX card or cards from the Wizard of the Coast era before Level X cards?" So EX. So I'm just gonna. I think he's talking just Nintendo. So my favorite Nintendo set is probably it's not probably, it is Team Rocket Returns for overall set. Now, as for like my favorite EX card out of all of it is probably, because you like Aerodactyl Basic Trainer, is the Aerodactyl EX from Sandstorm is probably my favorite.
Sandstorm, that's a pretty cool art.
I like that they gave him the Aerodactyl, like the green look to it.
Yeah, it's a weird tint. I never understood why they did Aerodactyl that way, but it's unique. And anytime it's unique, it's pretty crazy. For me, you got to stop stealing my answers. Team Rocket, I'm a big Team Rocket fan. I collect Team Rocket cards, anything with Team Rocket with Jesse James, Meowth on it, like I'm buying it. Some of my favorite Team Rocket cards are the Cardass embossed. I've got quite a few of them, and whenever I see them, I just snatch them up. I don't care what grade they are. I just think they're that cool and so cheap today. My favorite EX card, I mean, I love that set so much, and even that whole line. I almost pulled the trigger on the master set for a PSA 10 with Ken Lee. It just didn't work out because of the Snorlax. PSA 10 was honestly like a PSA 6, 7. But it's an awesome set. Every single EX card is a banger. There's actually a couple that are, I think it's the Entei. Entei doesn't look that great. I'm trying to think. Scyther's awesome, but my favorite one is Mewtwo. My favorite EX is Mewtwo from that set for sure.
Yeah. I have that Aerodactyl somewheres. I can't even find it, but it's back there somewhere.
Yeah, but it's a weird tint. I was like, is that the that's not the what do you call it? Shiny, right? That's not the shiny.
No,
I don't know what a shiny is. That pink? Is it pink or something?
Yeah, I'm trying to. I gotta think where it could be. Oh,
But
this one
yeah,
works. Yeah. Um, let's see. I actually, yeah, I bought a copy. I bought one of my copies off Nick Old School Pokemon. Actually, he gave me a good deal. Classic AT12 says celebrations has been good to everyone. Collectors, investors, scalpers, grader, etc. No one could be bad at celebrations. I'd say that's a fair statement.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I've got a sealed case of the UPCs. What do you think, PK? What should I do with it? Sit on it? Keep sitting on it forever?
I mean,
Bust it open,
listen,
break the metal cards? What am I doing?
I was gonna say you could consider breaking metal cards, going for that ultimate 10 chase. It's tough. It's not easy. Those cards don't grade well. But I mean, they're worth a lot sealed now. What are celebration UPCs going for? 450 right now?
Oh, yeah, I have no clue. I have zero clue. I don't even pay attention to stuff like that. I don't pay attention to the markets, because I'm just looking at slabs. That's really all I focus on whenever I want to buy something, trying to get a deal, mainly auctions, trying to get those deals that people just forget to watch. Um, I don't look at any sealed online on eBay, so I have zero clue.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. I don't hate the sealed celebrations play. What's it gonna take from to go the 450 to 900? So to double your money, that's a tough one too.
It's never now. Has it ever gone higher? Is that like the peak and it's just kind of stayed there, or has it ever been higher than that?
Um, it's celebrations UPCs were strong right out the rip. I mean, we never saw that MSRP price ever. We always saw pretty inflated secondary market prices. So
And they were very limited, right? I mean, that was the thing with
that was
celebrations. Yeah.
that was the difference between that and like the Charizard UPC. People speculated like, what if the Charizard got underprinted and just the complete opposite?
Yeah, that was going back to I think Mason gets screwed way too much. But yeah, I remember Mason had what, four, maybe six of those guys.
The celebrations or the Charizard UPC?
Celebrations UPCs. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
know
they were very limited.
Rusty TCA Gaming was trying for a while to acquire position of 100 sealed. So like Rusty's super bullish on keeping them sealed. And I think I think his buy price was like 250 until eventually like prices just got too much for him and he wasn't able to keep picking them up.
Yeah, I've seen 400, some are grazing 500. So yeah. I'll keep them sealed. I'll keep them sealed for another 20 years, see what happens. Because I'm an investor now.
You're an investor.
I'm an investor. I'm not a collector.
You're gonna lose your flipper's license then if you're an investor. Diddle Vader said, PK, favorite common, uncommon from Skyridge and basic, favorite common, uncommon from Fossil. So for common, it's probably the Nidoran when he's praying to like that. It looks like a trophy.
Yeah, for me, Fossil, it's the smallest set, if I recall. Fossil is the smallest set. Ammonite stands out to me because Ammonite has like legit art. It has such dope art for a common. But then again, commons and uncommons get actually good arts because some of the rares, right? They're hollow, so all you can remember is the hollow, and you can barely remember the non-hollow. And I think purposely some of the non-hollows or some of the hollows, when they come in non-hollow versions, they don't bother doing cool arts because they're going to be hollow. And so there's no detail to them. Oh, that one's dope.
Yeah. So do you see how he's like praying to that?
Yeah.
Like, I don't
Yeah,
know
that's
if it's
sick.
like, it looks like a trophy, but it's like a statue. Looks
Yeah,
like
that's sick.
like a Zapdos maybe. But if you look at Skyridge, like Skyridge tells a story. Like the artwork in Skyridge all has this sort of feel to it. Like Skyridge almost, if I were to equate the feel of Skyridge, it's like if you like the lost city of Atlantis. Like the feel of Skyridge cards is almost as if you're looking at cards based off of the lost city of Atlantis. Like this is one, so this is one of those cards.
Is the Poliwag that you're still in search of, is that Skyridge? No, right? That's Expedition.
Oh, that's Skyridge.
So, or it is Skyridge. Okay.
Yeah.
I was at a shop over in Dallas and I ran into a reverse Poliwag. And right away, whenever I see reverse Poliwags, I was like, oh, which, E series. I'm like, oh, is this the one? And I gotta look it up because sometimes I forget the art and it wasn't the one. But and it was beat up to crap. I know you're looking for the 10. But yeah, going back to the fossils, sometimes they didn't focus on the art on the hollows, the rares, because they were going to make them hollow anyway, and the hollow takes away from the art. So the hollows don't, or the hollow non-art or non-hollow variants don't get cool arts. The cool arts are going to come in the commons and uncommons, and so yeah, it's Ammonite for me. Ammonite has a very cool art. It's pretty detailed.
Yeah, and then for uncommon from Skyridge, my favorite card would probably be the Haunter, maybe. Yeah, probably.
Oh, are we supposed to do one of each, common and uncommon? Oh crap. Okay, you know which one stands out to me? Only because my favorite game growing up, Pokemon game, is still today the TCG card game. And so
So
I want to
this is my
say,
favorite uncommon. And again, do you see in the background you got like another? It's
oh
almost
yeah,
like an idol.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably my second favorite
Oh, that's cool, man.
because they all show like cool stuff in the background.
Yeah, you can miss a lot of that stuff if you don't pay attention to the art for sure. Our artists were arting back then, I love recycle. I love recycle the trainer card for fossil.
For rare, like all the Crobats, like those are mean Crobats, and look at how many are in the background too.
That one's dope. I love that bathing Snorlax from Skyridge.
Yep. Let's see if I can find that.
Metapod goes hard, pun intended. Go to bed, all of you. Yeah, I think you're right there. It was at Rubik's. Yeah, go to bed, all of you.
Dude, I gotta find a better way to like sort through some of my cards and not just have them in stacks of piles.
Is that how you keep them? Just stacks, just all over the Poke Cave?
No, I keep them in boxes like this too. Like large, like that. So then you could just like rifle through and they're alphabetical then.
And that's collection right there. That's PC.
What was that?
And that's PC?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, yeah, I keep mine in a nice, case, and I try to limit it. I realized that once I needed to buy a second case, I was like, no, that we need to limit. We need to maybe not cherry pick, but like really pick some of the rarer items and just keep going that route versus just collecting everything. But the homies taught me that. The homies taught me that the collectors are dusted. The only thing that collectibles collectors does. So, yeah, I've been definitely straying away or trying to limit mine. Those
And then
yeah.
Skyridge 2, this Eevee. This is an Italian one, but if you look on the background, there's like cave art paintings. So you got like a Dodero. I'm stuttering. Doduo and like some stick figure cave artwork, and he's looking at it. I don't know. I just always thought that was super cool. There's a lot of good cards.
Please say my name, Jake from State Farm. Oh man, I was going to ask you a question and I got sidetracked when I started reading the chat. It was when you were talking. Oh, Charlotte. So you're going to be vending
Yes.
And I hear you're bringing up this service
Yes. In-person
where
consignment.
in-person consignment, people drop it off, you sell it for them, hopefully, right? Successfully, you sell it for them, you collect a percentage. I don't know if you've done the whole Dan Catch 'em All where you break down the fees and whatnot, but yeah, I'm thinking.
Flat 10%, $5 minimum. This way it keeps me from getting a lot of like $2 cards.
Okay, gotcha. $5 minimum. So if it sells, you're collecting $5 minimum, is what you're saying.
Yeah, so
right?
pretty much it just keeps all cards above $50. That's what it,
Gotcha. So I'm thinking this guy's gonna be in your case right here.
the Pony Chew.
Yeah.
So will it technically be in my possession then while I'm consigning?
It'll be in your possession. I'm gonna bring it. It's gonna be
So
in
I
that
might not
case.
own it at one point, but it will have been in my possession. I will have been the steward of the Pony Chew.
So I don't know what price tag we're gonna slap on it, but we're gonna test the market.
5 figures, you think 10K?
Ooh, 10 figures, 10K?
Not 10 figures, 5
That's
figures, 10K.
5 figures, 10K. Screw it. Let's get ambitious, man. Let's slap it on there, see what happens,
Look, all right. Hypothetical. I put 10K on it. Somebody walks over, they scoop it. You
Scoop-
have
scoop-
10K. You got 10% of 10K coming to you. You got 9 Gs. I would probably give you more money than that though. But all right, let's just think about it. You sell it for 10K, you're happy, but are you really happy, Basic? Are you fulfilled knowing that card has gone away?
I remember when we were having the conversation about, some folks like, oh, what would that number look like? And I think the max, because I did turn down a an offer once from Mr. Ken Lee, or I should say a client or a buyer from Mr. Ken Lee. At 10K, yeah, easy. Like I was shake your hand. I was like, congratulations, you did it. Here's your 1K PK. I'll take the 9K, and it's like, whatever. But I do have to admit, there's a reason why it's up here. It's my favorite collectible.
Yeah.
It's priceless. It's $1 or
is it priceless? Because you just said you would shake a man's hand
because
for 10K.
it's either worth $1 or $1 billion. Somewhere in there, this is where this guy would fall in, and it's the most fun that I've had with a single collectible. So, from that standpoint, yeah, it would be sad. But listen, if we're gonna slap an outrageous tag, and someone's gonna take it, the freaking homies in this chat, a lot of them have really flipped my head, and it's just like, what? You know what? If we're gonna slap an outrageous price and someone's willing to take it, they gotta take it. But only for that outrageous price. They're not gonna negotiate me down to like 5. No, thank you. 5K, it's no, thank you. No gracias.
All right. What if somebody comes, they're like, oh, I'll pay 10K for it, and then I'm like, yeah, we're not selling this card. I'm like, I can't let Basic sell this card. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I would not be mad. I would not be upset. I would be a happy man leaving with that card anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously I'm just doing it for the memes, and you like the card yourself, the whole story of
I
how
do.
it
I
all went
offer.
down.
You still have a standing offer for me, $1,500. That's far away from 10K, but it's a standing offer and it doesn't expire. So
Yeah, the whole story, how it all went down, and you not knowing that it was there, and the way it all went down, because I went live actually with Professor Oak. Professor Oak had me on with Thrifty TCG, and then we were talking, and the whole fiasco about like a whole hour went by without me getting billed, and I thought they took it down. And anyway, no, it has a super fun story, super cool, and I would not be mad if I came back with it. But that's why we got to go with an outrageous price just do that. But yeah, I just got to take it over for the memes.
Yeah. People keep saying they love the bathing Snorlax from Skyridge. Are they talking about the? It's not a Snorlax though. Are they talking about? I don't think I have it here. It's can't find it. I don't think. It doesn't. All right, I'm gonna be looking at cards too much. So I love it though. Real quick. Pokemon Radar had a hot comment. He said, "Collectibles always go up." That that's a broad statement. That collectibles. I can think of a couple of collectibles that don't always go up.
What's going on, John? Collectibles
Is
always go up. Yeah,
is John memeing? I think he's memeing right now.
he could be. He could be joining the gang and just a gang of memers. Yeah.
Bunch of degenerates in the chat.
Collectibles always go up.
So John says he has 100 PSA 10 number 27 Black Star promo Bumblebee Pikachu's to drop off.
Potential PSA 10s.
Yeah.
No standards. Oh, okay, go ahead. I've got a question about this guy, PK, and I was gonna ask, so this is a perfect chance to ask.
Sorry. I just realized what John's comment was. He's saying he's dropping all 100 Bumblebee Pikachu's off to be consigned. Yeah, there goes a whole case.
So I was gonna ask you, PK, regarding Ponychu, it's obviously in the Beckett case. PSA as of like 2 months ago, 3 months ago, something along those lines. They made a change and with sketch cards, and they're grading sketch cards, and as long as they can pin down not literally pin down and talk to them, but if they know who the artist is, who what the auto is, and whatnot, if they can authenticate everything, they'll slab it. They weren't doing that before. Do you think this guy belongs in a PSA slab?
No, I think it works good with the Beckett Silver Authentic label.
Okay.
I mean, if you put it in a PSA slab, though, then you give it a little bit more, don't you? I mean, the back is as legit as a back as it gets, though.
Yeah.
Because the back is an actual card. 101. Yeah, like because it was pulled from a pack.
Well, there's stories that there wasn't, but like I said, at that point, it's like I really don't care as far as like what it is, what have you. But
yeah,
the card, I mean, the card itself was pulled for sure. It's just a matter of the whole sketch and whatnot. But yeah, I as soon as I read that from the PSA website, or when that email came out, I was debating on it, like, should I put this in a PSA slab? And would it be the wrong move? Should I just keep it there because that's where it's been this whole time? Yeah, I don't know.
Space Frog said Moonbreon and Evolving Skies booster boxes both going for 812 months. Thoughts? So he's saying the price of Moonbreon goes down to 800, but the value of a booster box goes from like 430 to 800. So price of a 10 retraces, but price of a booster box goes up. Thoughts?
I think Moonbreon right now is attached to the hip with the sealed. I think they're 1-1. Whatever one does, the other one follows along. If one tanks, the other one tanks. So, and do I think it's going to tank anytime soon? I don't think so, but time has a funny way of like showing and revealing, things. And so we'll see if in a year from now, like a direct year from now, are people still going to care about Moonbreon? My gut feeling is no. It's still going to be a meme. It's still going to be a meme. No. What I'm saying is, I don't think people will care enough to pay the prices that we're paying today.
They will.
I think the price will go down. How much? I don't know, but I think it does dip. It'll be by a year from now, there'll be so many sets now, so many more cards. Artists are going to keep arting and more cooler things that eventually money is going to start leaving Moonbreon. People are going to start selling off to be able to buy the next coolest thing.
I disagree. We disagree on this one.
I could be wrong, but that's my feeling. I think it's just inevitable that anything eventually is going to lose interest.
Let's see. Yeah, so Rattle said it's probably the Ursa ring that's sitting in the hot tub that they're thinking of, and I think that's what it is. If I could find it.
I've got to
Yeah,
look up
so I think
Moonbriar.
it's not the Snorlax. I think this is the one they're thinking of.
Oh, Ursaring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I got this pile of like ungradable Italian cards right here in front of me that I could just like rifle through.
So it's been a while since I looked up Umbreon prices. I remember I was not chasing, but documenting the price. Yeah, that's pretty cool. What's a PSA 10 going for right now?
Between 900 to 1,000, I would say.
Okay, so it's pretty much
Maybe
been
less
sitting
at auction though.
yeah, it's pretty much been sitting where the last time I started tracking, which was months and months ago. So, okay. Yeah, I do think it's inevitable that the price goes down. Again, when I say down, I can see 750 a year from now. 700, 750 a year from now. That I think it's inevitable. We got Raging Pikachu saying, I know nothing about MetaZoo. All I know is that I need those Hello Kitty cards for my daughters. Wait on those. Those freaking cards, the last time I saw, I think those were a couple of days ago because I needed for my deck. $400. And do you know if those cards were exclusive to Comic-Con or will they be available purchase elsewhere? As far as we know, those were exclusive to Comic-Con. Exclusive to Comic-Con. You cannot get them elsewhere. You can get them on eBay. Hello Kitty, the one with Hello Kitty on it, obviously for obvious reasons, will be the most coveted one, the most expensive one. It's also the most playable. So it has everything going for it. But yes, as of now, it's going to be the only way to get it. But it wouldn't surprise me if MetaZoo prints or gives it another print if they do another collab. But the fact that it was a collab, it's a Hello Kitty. I don't think they can just print this, anytime they want. So it could be honestly the only time that you could get Hello Kitty promo. And it's a set of, I want to say 6 or 9. I haven't seen the entire set, but something, it has one for each character. But yeah, I do believe it's going to be the only, as I'm talking now and thinking about it, it's like, yeah, I think it will be limited to that. I don't think they have the right to just print whenever they want. So yeah.
But yeah, if anybody out there, I just showed both the Snorlax and the Ursavig and just they're all both in like the hot springs. So
I was buying Moonbreons for $40, $20 back in 2016. Oh man, that's hilarious.
So Raging Pikachu said, basic, I know nothing about MetaZoo. All I know is that I need those Hello Kitty card for his daughters. Do you know if those cards were exclusive to Comic-Con? Or you just answered that, right?
Yeah, I just answered that,
Yeah.
that question. Yeah.
I didn't get to the bottom. This is a problem. I gotta like read through questions before I answer questions you already answered.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be interesting, that whole collab there and where they go. And again, I think my gut feeling is they're gonna not that they're intentionally straying away from the TCG, but I think they are straying away from the TCG. Sanrio is the company now that I'm.
Do you think that MetaZoo is strong enough that if they do move away from the TCG, they can survive? Or do you think it would just be a poor business decision and it's like becomes the end of them?
Sorry, what was the beginning half?
If they move away from the TCG and they just get too focused on other stuff, is it become the end of the TCG as we know it?
I'm afraid of that, but obviously from a company standpoint, my gut feeling is like this actually could be the biggest move, and it just means the TCG just gets burned. That whole community gets burned. But from a marketing big company trying to make moves, man, that could make MetaZoo even bigger. Just going that route, because it's always been known from the beginning that Mike has his sights on books, comic books, stories, shows, movies. So maybe focusing on TCG is just not it right now. And maybe they always keep that segment, right? But it would never be that big. And But my hope is that it all blows up, obviously, because it really is fun. It really is a crazy fun TCG. But I think now partnering with Sanrio, it's going to skew heavily to the other side. Yeah, they're going to bring their online clients, just like PTCGO. The MetaZoo version's coming out this summer, by the end of this summer. So that's going to be huge, I think, for the game. So that's something cool to look at. MetaZoo will now have code cards in their packs. So I mean, everything's, for folks that don't follow it and just crap on it, I get it. Metapoo, who cares? But for the people that are in it, like, we are seeing these things, we are seeing these parallels. They're not slowing down from our standpoint, and I don't know. It's just I think like Dan said, I think easily MetaZoo outlasts Lorcana. It's easy. That's to me, it's a no-brainer. That's a no-brainer.
Dan's financially invested. He's compromised. That's what's going on. You're compromised. You love it.
I'm not compromised.
But let me ask you one question that I don't know if I got the. I understand you said for prize support, the money goes into like a pool and you could access it through their online. Can you take cash out of that, or can you only then use that as credit to buy more product?
Correct. So there's the cash aspect and the credit aspect. The cash is cash. It's wired to you. And then the credit aspect. So let's just say, right, first place, it's 30K in cash. They wire it to you. The 20K is credited. It's in your on your account on MPN. No, you cannot pull it out for cash. You got to buy product. But now,
what was it?
NPN. So it's MetaZoo Play Network.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where it's where, like, for the Pokemon, where you have all of your points and player points and whatnot. So then yeah, now you can essentially, drain out $20,000 worth of product, and that product is yours, and you do whatever you want to do with that product. You can flip it, sell it at half the price, and that's your game.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So a lot of these winners, right? And that's got to be pretty nice for these guys when they hit that, huh?
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, and a lot of these, they're recurring faces. They're in teams. It's someone sponsoring the entire team. This one team, I think, had, like, out of the 6 players, 4 of them were in the top 32. Actually, 4 of them, one of them were in the top 15. The other 3 inside of the top 7. So they didn't win first place or even top 3, but I mean, just collecting that alone is pretty crazy. There's like 4 major teams right now in MetaZoo where they have anywhere between 4 and 6 players. The champion, and I'm not sure, but the champion of this one actually got second place in Water Tower, the very first one. So that guy, in cash, in theory right now, as long as everything's correct, has got 50K in cash and 50K in product. So and again, the pool right now, the competition, if anyone here, right, which it's probably no one, is into TCGs, competitive play, to get into these competitive tournaments for MetaZoo and get in these big money tournaments is the easiest thing to do, the easiest thing to learn, because it's not like in Pokemon where it's open to whatever sets, X amount of sets. They narrow it down to the energy type. So actually, I don't think I've explained this. For Flame Tower, and I'm going to speak now in Pokemon terms, you can only, not that it's specific to or exclusive to, but you need to have, out of your 40 card deck, 24 of those cards need to be fire type cards. The remaining 16 that consist of your energy cards and everything else, it's 16 cards, but 24 of those cards need to be fire type cards. So because of that, while it may seem like it's more difficult, it's not. It's actually the easiest thing, because there's going to be if right now Pokemon is heavy in mirror matches, which just means everyone's running the same deck, it's even worse than MetaZoo. So the luck level goes higher and the skill level lowers. But this is why anyone can get into this and do it, which is why I'm also like getting into it. Like, why not? Let's go hard. Let's see what happens. And the fact that I was able to crack top 32 and I feel confident for me to say I'm cracking top 32 in flame because I can feel it. I can feel the skill level has gone up just with the amount of time. Anyone can do it, and it's super easy to do.
All right, basic. We're gonna leave it with the last question, and I'm gonna answer for me, and then I want to ask you the same question. Data Daddle Vader said, PK, what item in the back has the most sentimental value to you? For me, it's that right there. That N64 has GoldenEye in it. That's a game I spent the most time growing up playing. Just you name it. I've spent so many hours playing that game. And I remember my mom taking me to the Toys R Us to buy it. And I was super, super sick. And they had like high C strawberry juice boxes. And in the middle of the Toys R Us parking lot, like I was super sick and I just threw up freaking strawberry high C and I loved them. And because it was the last thing I drank before I got sick, I still can't drink like strawberry flavored juices because of that. But I still managed to walk out with GoldenEye, even though I scarred a juice for the rest of my life. But so that's my most sentimental thing. What's your most sentimental like item you have, basic? Is there any
Sentimental.
that one collection piece that just can't leave no matter what you try to do?
Funny enough, it's literally the first three pieces that I ever bought when I got back in, and that's my sealed base jungle fossil. I bought the base set just because it's like, oh, cool, it's base set. I didn't know they still made these things. I didn't know they survived. I bought one, and my mild OCDs just said I need to have the set. I need to have jungle and I need to have fossil, and I was set. I was like, you know what, this is all I need. Little did I know that was not all I needed, and I found slabs, but I'm it's funny how I can't enjoy it the same way that I used to enjoy it before because of the value and whatnot. But it's the one that I just can't seem to relinquish. I can't seem to pull the trigger on selling it. I can't. I don't want to get rid of them because I know that once I get rid of it, it's gone. And I can't just get rid of one. They all, if one goes, if one of those boxes go, they all have to leave.
Yeah, basic. What happened to that link you had? There was like a meme that was going around because there was one of your lives. You took your base set jungle fossil booster box and you like stacked them all up, and you were having a couple delicious beverages, and then the whole stack of booster boxes. Somebody like clipped it into a GIF, and it was great. I haven't seen it
Oh,
around.
that was Swami. That was Swami that clipped
Swami
it.
had it.
And
Okay.
it was funny because so this was on, I believe this was on DNA's channel.
Okay.
And as I was stacking, DNA said, like, dude, they're gonna fall, like freaking. And someone said, like, oh, don't worry, they're in case, they have a case around them, whatever, right? And I'm like, they're not. And yes, I was having a few delicious, drinks. So I was just stacking them and stacking them, and then all of a sudden, this freaking tower just goes bloop, just falls over. So yeah, but that's just how much I care less about the value and care more about what it means. Again, it may be stupid to a lot of for sure, but to me, it's like nah. Like it just means so much because it's literally the base set. It's literally what got me back into the hobby. It's the first piece I ever bought back in 2012.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, basic as always, man. Appreciate you so much. You're always willing to hop on these lives, and I wish I didn't have work tomorrow, but I do. And
Otherwise, we would do the 24-hour live right here on your channel.
listen, when the 24-hour live does happen, you let me know. I won't be able to make it for all 24 hours, but I'll definitely hop on and do my best to keep you awake, even if it's just like during morning coffee and stuff like that.
Say less. Say less.
But yeah, basic, I appreciate it, man. And for everybody out there watching, I know we have like, it's crazy that people still tune in night after night and still listen to us just ramble about craziness. But yeah, for every single one of you guys that tuned in, I know I could speak for myself. I know I could speak for Basic. Guys, we appreciate every single one of you. If it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't be making these videos. And if you want to support Basic, down in the description of this video, there's two links. There's one, the link to Basic's Instagram. Give him a follow. If you want to reach out to him, feel free to reach out to him on Instagram. And then the second link is his YouTube. So make sure you click on that YouTube, give it a subscribe. So when that 24-hour live stream finally does pop, you'll get a notification and we'll all be able to enjoy that. But yeah, everybody, as always, we'll catch you on the next video.
Thank you for having me, man. See you.
No problem.